bright. Turn that down. There we go, that's better. Coffee. It's cold. Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. I guess I should be saying welcome back to myself, since I've been gone for a while. But that's okay. I've been busy, you've been busy, you know, so who cares? So, as you guys have seen, today I'm going to be making a chef's knife. This one. And as you guys saw in the opening, I already profiled it and heat treated it, so it's good to go. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say. I'm just gonna get right into it. Alright, just really quickly I want to mention, when you're doing chef's knives, you want to make sure that this back area is completely flat all the way to the heel. No dips or divots, because when you come down on your cutting board, if there's a gap there, you're going to have some uncut vegetables or whatever that is. So you really want the full edge to meet the cutting board. So that's why it's really helpful to have a piece of granite or a marble. Doesn't have to be huge and expensive, but something that's nice and flat that you can check your edge on. I got this for free. It's just a scrap. You can find scraps for free, so you know, you just gotta look. So after I've established the main bevels with a 36 grit belt, I'll tilt my platen backwards and put on a 60 grit belt. That way I go over everything to make sure there's no high or low spots, really evens out those bevels before I go into adding the distal taper and convexing the entire blade. So here's a quick tip for those of you that like to get your scales and your handles lined up and book matched. So what that means is you take your piece of wood and you cut it down the middle, open it up like a book. You have identical pieces, mirrored pieces. So after you've drilled all the holes in your first side, all you have to do is make sure that, well, first of all, make sure both your scales are squared, like as square as you can get them. And then once you've drilled the first side, all you do is put these two together, hold them as tight as you can, and then when you take them to your press, all you have to do is tap. You don't have to drill all the way through. Just tap one or two or three holes. That way you can put your knife back on this, throw a pin in one hole, and then you already know where that second hole is. Get your drill bit started in there. And then once you have that, you can pin down those two holes and drill the rest. And you should have handle scales that line up perfectly on the spine when your knife is finished, all the way around. And yeah, at least that's what I like to do. It's, you know, gives it a cleaner look. Alright, so I've got this knife all hand sanded, looking proper, really clean, really happy with that. But the customer actually wants a stonewash finish on this knife, and I get asked a ton of questions on how I do that, so I'm gonna walk you through that. Okay, so the first step in the stonewash process is getting a clean finish on your blade. The number one question I get asked quite a lot is, what grit do I take my knives up to before I etch them in the ferric chloride? So I take my knives up to 600 grit, hand sand finish, because that's my preference and that gives me the results coming out of the ferric that I'm looking for, which is, I don't want to see any of those scratch marks. I want to have about as clean as a finish as I can. And I'm sure you could do, you know, like 320, 400, 500, and it would look just fine. But 600 is what I found that works best for me. Now, if you don't care about that and you don't mind seeing those scratch marks in your blade, or you like that, then go ahead, do that. You know, do 120 or 220 or 36 grit finish for all I care. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I think done properly, it can look pretty cool. Don't let someone tell you that your way of doing something isn't valid just because they don't like it. So once you have the knife once you have the knife finished, then obviously you etch it in your ferric chloride. So after I've done that, I'll throw it in a tumbler that I made. I janky rigged my thing. I don't even know what to call it. I'll show you. I'll show you what I do now, and then I'll show you what I used to do. So this is my current setup. This is just some PVC pipe. I threaded a bolt through the bottom and locked it with a lock washer and a nut. Actually, this is an old potato cannon. It doesn't get much more sketchy than that, but sketchy works. This is the media. So the media I got from McMaster Carr. You can get it from, if you're in the States, from what I understand, Harbor Freight sells a shit ton of media too. But McMaster-Carr is where I got this. And you can see I have a couple different, so I have a cone. There's like an aggressive triangle in there, and then these little guys. Now, this is what I used to use. Seriously. This is from my backyard. You can get a really nice Stonewash with just using simple stones like this. The only reason I switched to the actual media, honestly, just for more consistent results. But there's nothing wrong with using these stones, so totally up to you. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this knife. That way I can get her glued up and finish it off.